Hey guys, Tarkhan here, back with another video. I might be coming down with a little cold, a little head cold, or it could just be allergies because everything is blooming and popping right now. All the cherry blossoms and the whatever, the dogwood and all the things. But so forgive me if my voice seems a little froggy, or if I have to clear my throat every now and then. I'm staying on top of it, so popping a lot of vitamins and getting a lot of rest. But I wanted to do another video for you guys, and I have some viewer comments. I have about 3 or 4 of them that I want to address. So we haven't done viewer comments in a little while, I don't think. I know in the last video I read that great email, but these are comments left on videos. So anyway, they all seem to have a sort of a similar thread that kind of runs throughout them, at least in my mind. So, you know, on some of these, I'm going to be saying a lot of the same things. Because in the end, you know, a lot of times people have the same kind of questions, or the questions may appear different, but really they're coming from the same place or the same sentiment. And often, you know, the same advice can really work across the board for everyone and their particular questions. So anyway, before I start, also, if you are new to the channel and you're just watching this video and you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe down below. You know where it is, and and thank you very, very much for doing so. So anyway, first comment I'm going to get into here is from Electra Messin. Hello, Electra. And this was left a little while ago, but maybe I've already answered this question for you, but I'm going to address it anyway, and for the sake of everyone else watching. Hey, great video. That was on the video she posted the comment on. Thank you. It is a challenge to take your focus off what is happening now and put it onto how you wish things were. But I think the more you do it and try, the easier it gets. And that's absolutely right. And I say that all the time, right? Practice, practice, practice. Yes, it can be challenging at first to do that, especially when you're so hyper-focused on what's going on right now. You know, and if it's about an ex or a specific person, why aren't they calling me? Where are they? Are they with somebody else? They're in another town. It's very easy for your mind to focus on all the seeming obstacles in your way, right? So if you're not used to doing that, it's going to be a challenge for a while. And a lot of these kind of these techniques that we talk about are really just designed for you to kind of move your mind into that direction. So whatever it is, affirmations and visualizations and scripting and meditating and all that, is to just help you kind of get clearer about things and move more into a place of focus on what you want to happen rather than what is. If what is what is unwanted or not ideally how you would like things to be, then these techniques just help you shift your focus. It's really for your own sake, because relaxing and feeling good about it is really the only thing that's necessary to manifest anything. It's really much simpler than we're all making it seem to be, right? And so with practice, you're right. If you continue to do it and you're kind of determined about it, right, and you do it regularly, with practice it gets easier and easier until one day it just becomes like second nature. So perfect. Anyway, but she continues. I actually have a question that you seem like the perfect person for. Well, I'll do my best. Let's say you have been trying to manifest someone for a very long time, but only a few little signs manifested, and that is it. Well, you know, I've said about signs. Signs are, they are one way that your inner being communicates with you. And your inner being is kind of this larger part of you that is still sort of dwells in that non-physical space, right? We call it the other side or the spirit world or whatever you want to call it. When we manifest, focus ourselves into these bodies and these identities, it's just a small fragment of that larger entity that we belong to, right? And by the way, that's the same entity and the same source that everything, all of us come from, all the animals and all the things in our world come from. So it's the same energy, it's the same source. But I call it your inner being or your higher self. Same thing, whatever you prefer to call it. But the basic idea here is that this higher self kind of has a sort of broader, much broader perspective than your ego mind does, right? So it can see further down the road. It can see whatever obstacles are up ahead, or whatever is the easiest, most efficient way to get you to where you want to be. It's only ever focused on that, right? So it's sending you messages and clues all the time. And the most efficient, effective way that it does that is through our emotions and how we feel. So when you have a thought, you have a sort of emotional response to it right away. And that is a communication from your inner being, letting you know if the thought you just had is moving you closer towards where you want to be or a little further away from it, or whether it agrees with that thought. You know, if you have a thought like, oh, they're never going to love me because I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as the person they're with now, or whatever it is, it makes you feel awful because that's your inner being making you feel awful on purpose in response to that thought to let you know, well, we don't agree with that. We see you as worthy. So then if you start thinking that I'm worthy, you start feeling good about yourself. And that's also your inner being communicating with you, letting you know that they agree with that. It agrees with that sentiment. You are worthy. You are good enough. Okay? But here's the thing. If you're just starting out with this kind of stuff, maybe you aren't that proficient at reading your emotions yet or understanding that that is actually a communication from your inner being. So your inner being will send you other kind of messages in other forms through signs and symbols that it knows you can understand. This is why you might see animals that you recognize or that have a particular meaning to you, because it is a communication. It's just letting you know in the same way that I just explained that your emotional guidance system works. It's just letting you know the same thing, right? When you see these signs, stop for a moment and see how you feel and how you react to them, right? And what were you thinking in that moment that you saw the sign? What kind of thought pattern were you going after, right? Something more positive, something more negative and self-defeating, right? So that's all it is. And as you become better at reading your emotions, which is your actual real guidance system, you'll see less of these signs. But just because you're seeing less of them or you're not seeing any of them in a while does not mean that you're going wrong or that what you want isn't coming or any of that kind of stuff. It doesn't actually mean anything, okay? Just understand when you do see them, you're being communicated with by your inner being. It's trying to let you know whether you're sort of moving it, you know, in a good direction or a little further away from where you want to be. That's all it is. It's like your GPS system. Right? Take this exit. Oh, you missed that exit. Well, we'll reroute. It's always rerouting, okay? So don't worry about it if you don't see any signs. Don't look for the signs. Don't get hung up on the signs, okay? When you see them, you'll understand that it's a sign. You'll smile. Smile to yourself. Say thank you. Stop for a moment. Assess where you're at. And then just keep going with your day. Don't worry about whether they're around or not, okay? So, she continues, I was wondering if the more time you spend focusing on your specific person and visualize being with them in a good way, will that greater focus help the manifestation happen faster? Scientifically, would that make sense that the greater or more intense the focus, the faster a result would happen? What do you think? Well, okay, yes, it can mean that. Of course it can. But again, I want you to understand, I want you to take a look at where you're coming from here. You're worried about how fast it's going to happen. You're worried about it hasn't happened in a long time, or I've been waiting a long time. That means you're focused in the vibration and the awareness of waiting, right? And what have I said about that before? That's a beggar vibration, right? That's wanting and waiting and asking. It's not being in receiving mode. It's being in asking mode. And asking mode is usually all about it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. Be aware of where your focus is at when you ask questions like this, okay? If you're asking me about, well, does it mean if I do it more intensely, it'll happen faster? You're still stuck on this need for it to happen faster, and you have to let go of that need, okay? Let the process unfold and evolve as it needs to. Don't interfere with the process. Your inner being knows what you want. It's taking you there. It's arranging everything behind the scenes. Oftentimes, things are being shuffled around and moved around that are outside of your vision or your awareness, okay? And just because you can't see it happening doesn't mean it's not happening. The time now is for you to relax, okay? Get on with your life. Focus on yourself and making yourself a happier person, and a person who's not so dependent on needing somebody else to give you permission to love yourself and be okay with yourself and to be happy with your life, all right? That's doing things ass backwards, okay? If you want to attract a happy relationship, you have to become happy first. You have to become relaxed about it first, and you have to be patient. So put all thoughts of time and how long it's taken out of your mind, okay? If you're finding yourself going there, let those thoughts gently drift through your mind like little fluffy clouds and let them drift right out and go back to doing something that you enjoy doing. Work on your life, work on yourself, okay? Make yourself your project, not the other person. You make yourself the project, the other person will come in. That's just a byproduct of you being a stronger person in yourself, being a happier person in yourself, making yourself the priority, not them, okay? They will come in when you do that, all right? So don't focus so much on, will it happen faster if I push, push, push? Because you're trying to push, push, push again. You're saying, maybe if I just focus and visualize more intensely, it'll happen faster. See, you're still hung up on this idea of I have to do something because it's not happening fast enough. It's the illusion of action, right? The illusion of action is that if I just take more action, something will happen, something will budge, something will move. But that's coming from the vibration of being desperate about it, okay? Of being hyper aware that it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. And you got to stop doing that, okay? You got to start thinking, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I'm fine, I'm fine. What do I do in the meantime? I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to do that art piece I always want to do. I'm going to go play with my dogs. I'm going to go have a nice time with my friends, okay? I'm going to go shopping. I'm going to enjoy my life, all right? That's the kind of attitude you got to have, okay? Just want you to be aware of that. It's very important to be aware of that. So if I sound a little bit coachy, it's because I'm being coachy. Okay, all right. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, yes, you can. Listen, when you visualize, make sure that it's that you have an intense focus feeling. It's about feeling, and that it makes you feel intensely good and excited. If you're doing it from the perspective of, I got to do this harder so that I can get what I want because it's not here yet, it's going to make you feel worse, not better. And that's going to be defeating your purpose, okay? If ever visualizing or any of these techniques make you feel bad or desperate or frustrated, stop doing them. Go do something else. Take a bath and stop thinking about what you want so much for a while, okay? Take a breather, step back, do something else, all right? Only ever visualize and do these techniques when they feel good to you, when they're fun, when they relax you, when they enhance your excitement and your expectation about things, okay? And if ever they don't, drop them. So, thank you, Electra, for that comment. And the next one, Stefan Markovic. Stefan. I know in German it would be Stefan. Anyway, I'll say Stefan I think that's how you might pronounce it, but maybe not. So Stefan writes, I was so obsessed with this show I watched as a kid where a Christian fell in love with a Muslim girl and they couldn't be together so much that I started projecting it to real life and identifying with the characters. So, 10 to 15 years later, a girl approached me and we fell in love, not knowing she was a Muslim at all. I know she is the love of my life and she loves me back, but doesn't want to be with me because of her parents and her culture. That happens, that's a common one. We are also miles away and saw each other only a couple of times, and because of all the obstacles, it was mostly a long-distance relationship. Well, what are you focused on here? When you say something like all the obstacles, look at all the obstacles. Oh my God, there's nothing but obstacles in front of me. I don't see anything besides obstacles. Listen, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm trying to demonstrate something to you, though. Look at what you're writing there, and look at the energy behind it. Where's your focus at? What's your focus on? Obstacles, obstacles, obstacles. Everywhere, obstacles. What's that movie with the kid that sees ghosts? Right? I see dead people. You could do that. Like, I see obstacles. I see obstacles everywhere. So they're talking to me, right? So listen, I'm pulling your leg a little bit, but it's good to make fun a little bit of yourself too, right? Because the idea here is not to take things so seriously. So if you're talking about obstacles and you're wondering why are all the obstacles there, you're focused on obstacles. Obstacles are what you're going to get back. That's how this whole law of attraction drive works, okay? You're going to get back, reflected back to you, what you're focused on most of the time. All right, so you have this momentum going in the direction of focusing most of your waking hours on all the obstacles in your way. All right, so number one is to be aware of that. The first step towards recovery is to admit or something like that, right? Anyway, so yes, the first thing is to understand where you're at right now with your focus and your energy. Okay? And be aware of where you are now. Now, don't be upset about that or get upset at yourself or anything like that. It's normal. It's perfect. We all start out this way. All right? The idea here is to, yes, have challenging situations in life and they're going to come up. But the idea here is to use them as an opportunity to come up with more clarity about what you'd rather have. Okay, so now you see all these obstacles in your way. The next thing to do is to take a look at, well, how would I prefer for things to be? Okay, now that I see how they are and I don't quite like it the way it is, what would my ideal situation look like? Make a list of that, write it down, really think about it. Feel good about it as you write it down. Feel excited about it as you write it down, okay? But that gives you clarity. So that's the only reason to ever notice obstacles and challenges, is to allow them to inform you on what you'd rather have. That's how we form desires, right? By looking at the challenges and the obstacles and the unwanted reality that we're living in. But here's what most people do, and they do it out of habit, and they do it because that's what they've been taught to do, is they notice the obstacles and the challenges and the problems, and then they just sit on them and they feed on them and they make them grow and they talk about them all the time, and they go to talk therapy and then they journal about it and then they talk to their friends about it, and then, you know, whatever, they watch sad movies and and then they think, I have to solve this problem, it won't budge. No, the only thing to do is to simply notice it and go, okay, that sucks. I acknowledge and understand where I'm at now. Thank you for showing me, life, universe, where I am now and what I'd prefer. So now what would I prefer? And then you focus only on that, exclusively on that. That's the idea, right? That's the idea in a nutshell. So be aware of what you're writing there. When you say things like all these problems, all these obstacles, I can tell you're focused on obstacles. So that's a good thing to be aware of. Start moving away from that awareness. Gently, slowly, patiently. Be patient with yourself. Doing that, it'll be a little challenging at first. That's fine. You're learning a new way of being and thinking, okay? So, where did I leave off? Yes, she's loved my life, but she doesn't want to be with me because of her parents and culture. We are also miles away. And only seen each other a couple of times because of all the obstacles. It was mostly a long-distance relationship. So now she's moving to a whole different country and wants to start a new life. My question is, did I manifest that girl in my life somehow, and is it possible that we end up together despite all? Should I keep trying or let go? Well, yes, you manifest everything into your life. But here's the thing, you manifested the girl, but you manifested the challenges, the obstacles, because you were so focused on the obstacles, right? Maybe you became obsessed with that show, and then throughout something about that intrigued you, that idea. Okay, sometimes we manifest challenges because subconsciously we want those challenges because we want the lessons attached to that, okay? And so many of you, in fact, all of you that have written me and coached with me and that are commenting with me, that come to the channel and other channels like this, I know that all of you come from this similar kind of story where this terrible thing happened, or I had this horrible breakup, I want this person back, this caused me to become more aware of law of attraction. I hear that so many times. You know? Oh, now I know about law of attraction, now I want to try this thing. It's possible that there's that inner being that I talked about earlier wants you to have these lessons to get closer to your power and your understanding of your power, and that this thing happened, this challenge or whatever it is happened, caused a desire in you to grow, right? To want this person back, this ex back. But really the desire is about you wanting to learn to become a more powerful creator, a more deliberate and self-aware creator in your life. So it was the catalyst. It was the thing that caused you to ask more questions, to dig deeper, to look deeper into yourself and deeper into what all this shit is about, right? We all know, and you all know deep down inside yourselves, there's much more to this than just the surface that we can see. And now you're digging deeper, and this issue that you have is causing you to dig deeper, okay? It's helping you to grow and expand. So there's another perspective to look at it from. Maybe you manifested not the girl, but the situation, the circumstance, because deep down inside, subconsciously, that inner part of you wanted you to learn this lesson. How do I do this? Because when you learn how to do this, you'll learn how to manifest all sorts of things, and you'll learn your own power. You'll learn to become more aware of your emotions and how you're thinking, right? That's going to help you in your life. This is how you grow and expand, all right? So maybe that's the reason you manifested this situation, as a way for you to propel yourself forward into better self-awareness and self-understanding, right? And becoming better at using and wielding your power that you were born with, by the way. We all were, okay? Now you're going to learn to master it. And maybe that's why you manifested this situation, so that it will cause you and prompt you and encourage you to master it, okay? So that's the long answer. The short answer, and the answer to your other question is, can I manifest her back? Absolutely you can. Yes, like I said, you can manifest her back despite all these obstacles. And the first thing to do for you is to stop focusing so much on the obstacles. Start focusing now on what you'd prefer. What would your preferred situation be with her, right? Maybe she comes around. Maybe her parents come around. Maybe her parents really like you or something. Well, maybe they haven't met you yet. Maybe, something happens where a job brings her closer to where you live, and then you have a chance to be around each other more and to grow closer. Anything like that. Don't worry about how it's going to happen, though, okay? I just want you to start playing with what's it going to look like if you had your ideal situation? What would it look like? Okay, so I want to sit down and start making a list about those things. What's your relationship like? Go to the end result. Act like, think like you already have this relationship that you want with her, despite all the apparent obstacles, right? Act and think like the obstacles are already gone. They're already out of the way. Let's say you're living together. Let's say you're married. You have a life together. What's your life like, right? Where do you live? What kind of house do you have? How many kids do you have? That kind of thing. What do you guys like to do together? Do you like to travel? Do you like to cook? Do you like to work in the garden together? Do you like to go out nights? Do you like to go to the movies? Do you like to go to nice restaurants? Think about that, okay? Plenty of people out there come from different backgrounds. Jews and Christians get married. Listen, my mother was a Roman Catholic girl from Germany, My father was a Muslim guy from Turkey, okay? I'm half Turkish and half German. Now, my mother was never that religious, but my grandmother was. Her mother was very strict and religious. My mom fell in love with my father. He was Muslim. They fell in love. They got married. They were together 15 years. They had 3 children, you see? So anything's possible. And then my stepfather was Jewish. So you see what I'm saying here? These aren't obstacles. People do this all the time. People who from different backgrounds get married and come together all the time, despite their apparent obstacles. So you see already that there are many, many examples that you can look around for where what you're worried about isn't really that much to be worried about, okay? Make the problem much smaller in your mind than it really is. And it isn't a problem, okay? The only thing that you need to learn, and this is teaching you how to do that, is to focus on what you want instead of what is, right? Try to ignore the current reality as much as possible. Stop looking at it from the perspective of, look at all these obstacles. All right, start thinking from a solution-oriented perspective. And the way you do that is to start thinking about moving past the obstacles and the problems, and go in your mind, in your visualizations, directly to what your life will be like, what your life is like as a couple, okay? That's how you do that. Also, you said, should I keep trying or let go? I think what you're asking me is, should I keep trying or give up, right? Because you should definitely keep trying. You should not give up. Letting go is not the same as giving up. And if you don't understand that, there was a video I did, so look for that in my videos, letting go versus giving up, I think it's called. I did that a few months ago, but that's going to really explain that. But what I mean by letting go is letting go of the need for things to be a certain way, relaxing about it. So in this case too, let go of the obstacles, let go of the focusing on the problems that seemingly stand in your way. That's the part you want to let go of, okay? As far as giving up in terms of, will this never happen? Should I just stop trying? No, don't give up, okay? So yes, keep trying, but also let go. All right. So, last comment from Ryan O'Donnell. Wow, mind equals blown. Thank you. I'm glad I can blow so many minds. I really am. My mind is blown also, by the way. So even this channel, so many of you say, I'm so surprised your channel hasn't blown up. From my perspective, it's doing much better than I anticipated it would do, especially given that I've only been uploading more regularly for a few months. I think it's doing fantastic. And I'm getting so many of you writing me for coaching, and and the podcast is getting around too. So things are going very well. So my mind is blown as well. And I'm loving it. So it's nice to have your mind blown. So anyway, Ryan writes, so if I am focusing on the person that I am in my reality, if I was back with my specific person in a new committed relationship, you've been listening. I'm in love with her. We just happen to be different religions, cultures. So this ties into what Stefan was saying, right? Would it make sense to keep listening to subliminal audios for 30 days to convince my subconscious mind, or is that not necessary? Because then again, if I was in my desired reality, I wouldn't be using those subliminals to begin with. What is the best approach? I'm glad you brought that up. I haven't really talked about subliminals and things like that too much. I actually really like them personally, and I use them as well in my own life, and I've used them to great success. I actually think they're wonderful. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, I can't get into the science of it. I don't quite understand the science of it, but there are frequencies, certain frequencies that have to do with theta, beta brain waves. But the idea here is, of course, that you listen to these frequencies with some subliminal messages interspersed throughout them, and that they sort of go to work on your subconscious mind and on your belief. Right? So you can listen to things that sort of enhance your belief about money and abundance and these kinds of things. I have found them very helpful personally, because for me, I can just put them on my headphones, walk around, do the dishes, do whatever. I keep them at pretty low volume. Or what a lot of people do is they go to sleep at night with that on, right? And they fall asleep to these subliminals and to these what's the word I'm looking for? These frequencies, all right? So I think they're very helpful. But do you need them? You don't need them. No, of course you don't need them. But here's the thing. You're right, and you make a very good point. If I am already in my desired reality, why would I be listening to subliminals, okay? So that's the thing, though. Here's the tricky thing. If you're listening to subliminals in order to get your specific person back, then yes, you're right. Then you're coming at it you're approaching it from the wrong direction. It's kind of like what I was telling Electra and Stefan. Well, Electra specifically, if you are trying to visualize harder and harder to make things happen faster and faster, that is again coming from the perspective of it's not here yet, and I need to do this thing in order to make it happen faster or more efficiently. Then you're coming at it from a different perspective. You have to understand what your intention behind doing it is. If your intention behind listening to subliminals is because you like listening to subliminals, because they help you relax, because you just enjoy doing it, right? You feel better after you do it. If you're doing it just for that sake, then keep doing that. Absolutely, they're very important and they can be very helpful. But if you're coming at it from the perspective of, I need to do more subliminals for this X amount of time so I can get my X back, then you're coming at it from a very different kind of perspective and focus. Can you see the difference? Can you tell the difference on how the two things feel, right? Ask yourself the two questions. Make the two statements next to each other. I listen to subliminals because they really relax me. I love listening to them at night. They help me fall asleep. I love falling asleep to them. I wake up refreshed. I wake up feeling good. I like listening to them when I'm involved in my work or when I'm doing chores around the house. I feel relaxed. I feel nice. They make me feel good. Right? They enhance my belief about myself, my power, how abundant life is. And now follow that up with the statement of, I have to listen to these subliminals for 30 days so I can get my ex back, because my ex isn't back yet, and I've noticed that it hasn't happened fast enough yet. It's not happening fast enough, so I'm going to use these subliminals. Which subliminals should I do? Let's see. Let's go find the perfect subliminal, and it better be the perfect one. And I have 30 days now. I have to listen to it every day. I'm going to get up tomorrow. I'm going to listen to 3 hours of the subliminal. Then I'm going to listen to 3 hours in the middle of the day. Then I have to listen for 3 hours at night. And if I miss a beat, then it's horrible. Everything's falling apart, and I'm never going to get her back. You see, how does that feel compared to the first statement I made? Right? This is kind of where you have to start asking yourself, what's my purpose in doing so? What's my purpose in visualizing? What's my purpose in doing the subliminals? What's my purpose in all of that? if I am coming at it from the perspective of I need to do this in order for her to come back into my life because it's not happening fast enough and I need this to happen to be happy, well then yes, you're right. You wouldn't be approaching it that way with that sentiment, with that kind of energy and vibration if she was back in your life, if you were living in the end result, right? But if you were living in the end result and she is back in your life, but you just like listening to subliminals anyway, you can be back with her and just enjoy listening to subliminals. They can still help you relax, help you focus, right? You're not depending on them to make something happen. That's the difference, okay? I hope that makes sense. It was a very good question, and there's a little bit of nuance. It's a little tricky sometimes to think about these things in those terms. But if you're ever in doubt, always ask yourself, what's my motivation here for doing this? All right? If my motivation is because I need to do that, I feel I need to do this to make something happen, then my focus is on lack, not abundance. It's on lack. It's on the thing that I want lacking rather than the thing that I want being here, okay? So always ask yourself with anything that you try to do when this question comes up in your mind, just stop for a minute and go, well, why do I want to do it? What's the sentiment behind it? What's my vibration behind it? Okay? That would be your best approach. And you had a second question. Also, with visualization, is it okay to visualize the person because that's what most people say? If I visualize myself, how would that indicate that I am with the person I want to be with? To quantum shift, do I need to basically fall in love with myself and only focus on self-love meditations? Any feedback would help a lot. Thanks. I think you're asking, should you make yourself part of the visualization or just visualize them sort of at a distance? Doing what, though? I'm not sure the first part of your question there, what you mean exactly, but I think what you mean is, do you visualize from your own perspective, or do you visualize watching the two of you or her sort of like you're watching a movie? There are many different schools of thought about that. And again, if you're asking a question like that, you're focused on too much on the technique because you feel you need the technique. You need to do it right and correctly in order to make things happen because you need things to happen so badly because you're so hyper aware of how they're not happening. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of is the same answer as to your first comment there, okay? It's important to recognize that, again, you want to do these things from the perspective of they make you feel better, right? They're relaxing, they're fun, they help you feel excited about your desire and your manifestation coming together. Because the thing that you want is already done, it's already out there in the ether. It's just about you lining up with it at this point, okay? You need to be lined up with it. You need to be a cooperative component in the whole thing, all right? And all of these techniques are only designed for that. That's the only reason that you need to do them. So visualizing, you can visualize. Really, my whole take on it is visualize in a way that is most comfortable for you, that makes you feel most relaxed, that is the easiest for you, okay? You want it to be easy at all times. You don't want it to be complicated and overthinking, am I doing it right, am I doing it wrong? That's already coming at it from a very much too complicated direction, okay? You want this stuff to be uncomplicated. So if it's easier for you to visualize her or visualize yourselves watching yourself from a movie perspective, or if it's easier for you to make yourself part of the visualization or to visualize from your own perspective or whatever it is, play around with it and try it all out and then pick the one that's the easiest for you to do, because it should always be easy. And as long as it feels easy and you feel good as a result of it, and you feel relaxed and more expectant and happier as a result of it, then you're doing it correctly. That's really the simple answer I can give you, okay? You got to play around with this stuff. Everyone's unique. Your approach to things is very unique to my approach to things, okay? So you gotta decide what's most appropriate for you, what feels best to you, what feels easiest to you, what feels the most relaxed to you. That's the one you want to stick with, okay? And I would say, I mean, for me, and the whole idea of living in the end result, and what Neville Goddard says, of course, is to go, I mean, if you want to be specific about it, let me give you something specific. Go to a scene that's very simple, that indicates and implies that you guys are already together in a relationship, okay? So maybe you visualize something very simple, like she's in the next room, okay, doing something she loves and that makes her happy. So maybe she's reading a book. Maybe she's playing with the pets or the kids, or maybe she's cooking because she loves to cook. And you're just aware of her presence over there. She's within dancing distance of you. That means you can go over and dance with her at any time, easily, if you wanted to. Okay, that's what that means. So she's close enough. You don't have to be doing anything together in your visualization. She can just be within dancing distance of you doing something that makes her happy. And that could be enough, because that will make you happy. Because think about it. What will it be like when you're in a relationship? It's not always going to be, you guys, it's not always going to be this honeymoon period. Let's say you've been together for a couple of years. You're going to do domestic kind of mundane things together, aren't you? So visualizing from that perspective, visualizing something very mundane, like an average domestic day in your relationship, can be a great visualization, because that really implies the two of you being together. You've moved past all the seeming obstacles, the seeming problems. You've even moved past the honeymoon period and all that stuff. And here you are in this very stable, secure, loving relationship. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So, and also, focusing on self-love is always good. Always. You never need to ask if that's good. You should always do that. You need to focus on loving yourself and being happy without them. Now, I know when I say that, when a lot of teachers and coaches say that, people freak out and they go, well, I don't want to do that, because if I learn to be happy without them, then that means they won't come back. No, bullshit. You need to listen to me right now. It means the opposite, okay? You need to stop being scared of that. When you love yourself and you become a beacon for that love, you radiate charisma, you radiate energy, attractive energy. It's going to make people want to be around you. It's going to make your specific person want to be around you. Now, being desperate, radiating desperation, frustration, impatience, sadness, anger, is that going to make them want to be around you? Do you want to be around a person like that? No, of course not. Okay, so now you know, very simply, very quickly, that I can tell you why self-love is so important. You should always be working on that. Always, 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 always. Okay? So, that's the comments. That's the video for today. If you are interested in subliminals, and you feel that they can benefit you, make you feel better, and make you feel relaxed, and you might enjoy them, I actually have I have an affiliate link to a website where you can get subliminals to download, and that's in my affiliate store on the manifestation.lab.com website. And actually, I think it's the first link down in the box below is the affiliate store. So if you're interested in that, then take a look at that. Also below that, you'll find my coaching link. If you're interested in in-depth email coaching, then you can find that there too. Also, if you just want to leave me a tip, there's a PayPal and a Cash App link down below where you can do that. Also, many recommended books down below. So that's all on the website as well. So you can just check out the website. In the near future, I will probably have a blog section on there too. But for right now, I'm finding the videos and the coaching and the podcasting is enough for now, but I have wanted to start a blog for a while as well, just to supplement a lot of what I'm talking about here on the channel. Okay, and there's another video coming soon, and there will be another podcast episode coming possibly this weekend or early next week. Okay, so. And once again, if you're new to the channel, thanks for watching. And if you like the video and others that I've done, please don't forget to hit subscribe. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend if we don't speak before then. And all the best to you. Until next time, bye-bye.